Okay, great.
Why don't we go ahead and give the YouTube intro? Hey, everybody. This is January 15th, and it is a small group meeting of the DPID working group, which was organized ad hoc in the Mattermost channel. Today, we'd like to go through the Center for Open Science's Year of Open Science Conference call for proposals and kind of figure out what proposals from the working group could look like and how they align back in. So with us today, we've got myself, Andrey as always, and a new entrant to the videos, Dr. Marshall Miller. So that being said, I think that's a good intro. Everyone good to get started? Cool. All right. Well, if that's the case, let me go ahead and well, do we want to just quickly talk about stuff? Do we want to share screen with the actual form itself? What makes the most sense to y'all from, I guess, an operational perspective?
Well, so we can share the screen with yes, with the form.
Oh, okay, cool. Then let me go ahead and start doing that. So I will open up the form from Mattermost and we'll put this on here. I have way too many tabs open. Um, that is, all right, cool. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
All righty, cool. So then, yeah, what we are looking at today is the Open Science Conference submission. So I think we've all kind of had a chance to read through this, right? So with that, perhaps it's a good idea for us to quickly look. I think our plan today was to find the right 200 words to go into said form. So for reference on the abstract, which is the majority of what they would be interested in, they really only want 200 words that outlines the content, the objectives, and the relevance of the proposal for the um, focal topic of either infrastructure, tools and tech, community building, rewards and incentives, or policy, which it seems like we would fit into this first point here. So if you would, actually, let me go ahead and do that. Drive, google.com, shared with me DPID working group. And I'll go ahead and put this in the Zoom chat for anyone else who's curious. And we'll also include the link to the Year for Open Science forum, mostly because I copy paste the Zoom chat into the YouTube comments after this call. So we've got this. A quick overview of this Google Drive. We've got a couple existing conference proposals. Some of these are previous work that I've done through DSci Labs over 2023. So I think this is a fair data submission that I did last year. These two are publishing workshops, more targeted at DSci nodes. Andrey, this is the one we just created, and then the Lorenz workshop is a high-level overview of DPID that I did last week, actually. The overview documentation is probably stuff that's going to be helpful here. So especially the prospectus. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, perhaps dissemination with the proof of concept or the RDA blog post. So, Andrey, for a DPID working group submission to the Center for Open Science, what makes the most sense to start with? Where do you think we could find our 200 words? Or is
I
there a
think
better way to go about structuring this?
yeah, I think we can start with the prospectus
Okay.
and then come to for ADA blog post because we have now here there it's pretty good summary.
Yeah, actually, it is pretty good. That one's coming together. Thank you for writing it. Okay, so the RDA blog post and the prospectus. All righty.
Yes.
And then I'm also going to open a new doc in conference proposals. I actually already have this, which can serve as the submission details for what we actually need. So how about I call this one reference materials down here and put the RDA blog post and the prospectus in there. Go away. Cool. And the prospectus. There we go. No, go away. All right, cool. And then the general structure for what we need, perhaps it's a good idea to just quickly make different sections for this. Or maybe it's okay without. Question for y'all before we jump into words. Does it make sense to do a session, a lightning talk?
Or I think
Those
it is better to do a session.
better to do a session. Okay.
Yeah.
We can probably submit both too. And if we get a session, that's better. But if we don't, we get a lightning talk. At least we're on on the docket.
Yeah, it's something up there. And I know that this group tends to be a little more technical in nature. So, and this Center for Open Science conference is a little bit more, I think, high level from the technical standpoint and more detailed in the academic problems standpoint. So it may be where this isn't the perfect fit for a presentation, but we can figure it out. Brief dynamic presentations that provide quick updates, insights, or showcase innovation project aligned with conference themes. Presentations, panels, symposia, discussion that delve into specific topics related to open science. One that I actually want to throw in here as an interesting previous session is the SciDataCon proposal that we made. Which there's a lot of work that needs to be done in refining this, but the gist is it's actually a more interactive session where if you can imagine a world where we went back into 1990, kind of time traveled to the very beginnings of persistent identifier design and had the technology of the 2020s, how would we redo everything? How would the technology change what the eventual system looks like? That could be an interesting approach for more of a session-based conversation. But may also end up being too technical, so that's okay. So for a session, would y'all see it as a presentation with Q&A, panels, a symposia, discussions? What do you think makes the most sense?
Well, from my point of view, the presentation and the discussions. I think it will also the symposia. So we need to attract the people and then to discuss the problems, as you told just now.
All righty. Actually, that brings up a good point of a couple things that I skipped at the beginning of this conversation. So raw notes 1, 15, 24. What do we want to get out of a either 50 or 10-minute talk at the Center for Open Science? What would be the best thing that we could do for the working group?
I think the presentation, I think blending the two together, kind of like the SciDataCon type thing would be great for the discussion, kind of like how we could build on this. But the presentation, like you said, this does tend to be a more technical crowd, might be a good place for us to discuss, the back end technology, why it matters, go into the more robust explanation.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And it depends. I don't know how technical the crowd is going to be as a part of the answer, but they'll be intelligent people. Perhaps we shouldn't
Yeah.
shy away from it regardless.
Well, I'm sure with 200 words, we can always we don't have to go into too much detail when we're proposing it,
Yeah,
and we can
I
adapt once we know more.
I agree with that one entirely. It's also something where we need to think about what this community wants. So, what the main goals for the NASA Year of Open Science actually were, um, and how some of the work we're doing with persistent identifiers ties back into that is probably important. And then some of the hot topics in infrastructure and meta science at the moment are also probably good things to think about. Um, NASA Year of Open Science main goals, hot topics in infra and meta science. Which I can say one of the hot topics right now is metrics for open and fair science.
Yes, because for the institutions, at least in Europe, it is still like one of the KPI.
Mhm. And
So
it seems like,
can re
yeah,
we can rely on it.
yeah. It's a good fallback at all times. I actually just got put into a metrics for data reuse working group that's co-hosted by NASA and CERN. So it's definitely something that's top of mind at the moment. Another thing, just on a personal level, I would like to talk about is the PID to CRIS pipeline, as it seems like that's starting to become more of a point of discussion. It's an interesting one. What
About
other, yeah.
Sorry, about this pipeline, I really want to hear from the opinions from Marshall and you because I am not so familiar with the CRIS pipeline. So, Marshall, what do you think about this conjunction between PID and CRIS?
I definitely think that might be something, um, that depends a lot on what we're able to get into the presentation. Like, it's definitely an
Yeah.
interesting idea, but I'm not sure it's essential. I think that's one of the things that's great to have in the notes, and depending on what we get, accepted and approved for, that's definitely something we can expound on. Um, but yeah, I don't, this might be more future casting than
You're right. You're right. A little too far, too fast. Do
Yeah.
metrics for fair and open science also seem a little too forward thinking? Are we better off with our 200 words just purely focusing on DPID?
looking at, let's see, I haven't found the official goals yet, but I was looking at the participants, at least, of the um like that NASA said are doing it, and I don't think it is too much. I mean, like you said, there's the Go Fair US is one of the official partners, and same with Scholarly Publishing and Academic Resources Coalition. So I don't think that is out of the, yeah, that's the page I found too.
Okay.
So I think that, especially if we get, the presentation, no matter what, I think we need to talk about the FAIR principles, but I think that's definitely somewhere we should go in the longer presentation.
Yeah, I can agree. I can agree with this.
I can absolutely see that. So what would y'all write down here? I mean, this is an open document. I know I'm taking notes, but feel free to put it in.
Well, in the infrastructure and meta science, let's say for now, I have nothing to add, but maybe would come with some proposals around storing metadata and redundancy on the metadata. What do you think?
Um, Possibly. How would you tie it back in? To Actually, this is a really broad set of conference goals, but how would you tie it back into one of these four? Five, not four.
Well, for me, it's the third point makes probably most sense,
Okay.
and we can concentrate mostly not on the components of the research system because as we heard also from Mario, it seems really important. It's much more important even than the persistent identification itself. Because once we don't focus on it, actually in the scientific community, no one needs in the identification.
Okay.
So we may represent our, well, also DPIDs as an element of the system, of the research system. And I don't know, maybe you have thoughts about how to tie it with fair PID graph, the concept, I mean. You-
I could definitely see that being a thing. Tying this into a larger pit graph, or even the knowledge graph that comes out of DPID itself, that could totally be a thing.
Yes, so we can indicate it.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Marshall?
Yeah, I definitely like yeah, the idea of the graphs and showing any metrics we can. I mean, that kind of applies to the first, our first point as well. I think that really rounds it out. And like you said, we're not 100% on what the audience will be. So anytime you can give some kind of visual representation, I think that's important.
Okay, makes sense.
I mean, the storing and redundancy, I'm sure there's something we can expound on there. Um, I'm trying to, I mean, one of the big things this year was retractions.
Yeah.
There were 1,200 retractions in top journals this year. That's a lot. Or 12,000. Did I say 1,200? Um,
Yeah, and it's been going up quite a bit. And
yeah.
honestly, it's interesting because I know given the Center for Open Science's ties to the larger meta science movement and the role of the meta science movement in kind of facilitating some of these retractions, they might have a very interesting take on that number.
Yeah. And we were talking about what was it? Yeah. No, and I think the graphs, yeah, I think this could be very interesting.
Okay. Is there
Especially since we we have the addition of the version, the content drift difference. So if there's a retraction, you can say which version of the retraction or what date it was, because they all change. We have the added benefit of that, which is something that really no other system has.
Yeah, actually, that's very true. Truly versionable content driftless retractions. Um, and I mean, this may be another one of these points that's a little too forward thinking. But as you have a system that's built for versionability, perhaps the significance of a retraction changes. I don't know whether or not that's actually the case, as it could be a little idealistic there, but I like to think that it could be. But one of my personal beliefs is that the severity of a retraction is something that slows down innovation and experimentation and the pace of progress. One single retraction in your career is basically over. One massive bug in GitHub, and hopefully it can be fixed within a reasonable period of time. It's idealistic, I know, but hopes and dreams. Hot topics in infra and meta science. I do like retractions in there though, and talking about new means of thinking about them.
I don't know how much current affairs we want to bring into this, but obviously there's a lot of, going with the content drift kind of thing. There's probably going to be a lot of revisions from, all these top universities being accused of plagiarism and stuff. I have a feeling, well, I don't know, people might be more interested in an ability to revise these things opposed to the dramatic idea of losing everything based off of that. I don't know how much we really want to touch that, but it could be interesting. Definitely needs to be fleshed out more, but
Yeah,
it seems interesting, but well, about this topic, I think it's now too early to touch it in a serious manner for us.
Mhm.
Because once we don't have literally a working prototype of a knowledge graph and a solution, so I think
that's a good
I
point.
think we should not focus too much on it for right now.
Yeah.
So another point that might actually be worth bringing up is quite literally the initiative that we're going for and the concept of institutional sovereignty. If I can find that link right here, here we go. Yeah, this concept of institutional sovereignty is something that could be very interesting from the concept of open science. I have too many tabs open, way too many tabs open. So the idea being that hopefully in late spring, early summer, you get a couple different universities on board to help mirror a data set on IPFS, 1 GB, nothing super crazy, but have that be surfaced by a publisher who does not store the data, just by querying a public gateway. Honestly, this might be a wonderful chance to promote that. That may be our best use of time for this conference, as I think we are going to have a fair number of librarians and open science enthusiasts who understand the importance of data sovereignty in attendance. This should have been the first thing I suggested. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I agree. I think that's a good
Yeah,
direction to take.
yeah, completely agree. Because
I
this is the point, let's say the selling point for us.
Yeah. I think it was a good point too about not being, you know, this isn't the time necessarily to uh, introduce thought experiments opposed to, this is a year in review. So I think,
Yeah,
Andrey, I think that was a great point. Um, I think initiatives are good things that we can talk about that are actually being done. In that idea, I think the more concrete examples and um, state of the state of it right now opposed to yeah future casting or something. I think that's a good point.
yeah. No, I think that that's fantastic. So then perhaps this promotion of the IPFS initiative is kind of the head of the talk itself. And then some of the other concepts like storage and redundancy, the eventuality of metrics, and verifiability through IPFS could be the way to think about this.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do we want to put in something? So another point that I found that's rang true, I don't know if this is the right audience for it, but essentially by moving to PID infrastructure based on content addressable storage, from a business case perspective, we take large swaths of the problem of persistence and turn it into a CapEx problem as opposed to an OpEx problem, which is significantly more palatable for funding models in academia. Is it one that's worth talking about, or is that this not the right audience for it?
Yeah, about the audience, I could say only I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard too because probably a lot of the audience are the people who got funding. Uh,
Yeah.
so they might not be too worried about that because they've been securing it. I mean, I think it's a great point, personally, but I would wonder about the audience.
Okay, fair enough. Um, does this seem like enough? Just these 4 main points? Does this seem like enough for 200 words?
Well, it was my question for now. Is it enough for 200 words? It seems so.
Is it too much for 200 words?
Yeah. Well, actually, all of the topics are too much for 200, but still.
I think even just, yeah, outlining just even the last point that you've highlighted
Yeah.
is what we can build off of the 200 words. Start with just, almost giving an outline of just saying like, yeah, uh, IPFS, data sovereignty, and then going into the other things of outcomes. I think we can probably condense it. Again, it would be impossible to go into much detail, um, but hitting those, the buzzwords that might get them interested.
I agree, especially in an abstract this small. Let's hit all of the buzzwords. Um, and we're lucky we actually do know a couple members of the submission committee for this, and they are familiar with some of the upcoming work around DPID. So we've got that going for us. Or believe it or not, decentralized persistent identifiers are now a buzzword of their own, which is good stuff. Yeah. So what are other keywords that we should be including in this? Data sovereignty.
Data sovereignty for sure.
Mhm.
I think everyone wants to hear metrics.
And part of what we can say around metrics is we could do fair metrics. We could say more than just the manuscript. Is there anything you would add to metrics besides just purely metrics?
Well, something about metrics of rotting links and the tombstones. Because once it is indicated in the FAIR guidelines, we should pay some attention on it.
Yep. Also, the FAIR principles is
Yeah, I think
another.
that should
Yes.
be its own for sure.
Um,
Especially since we know there'll be representation.
oh yeah. Anytime you talk about data in academia, it's fair. Then we've got redundancy as well.
Mhm.
What other key points? What other key points in our 200 words?
Versioning.
Versioning.
Mhm.
Do we want to go into some of the DID ownership kind of angles?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Marshall?
No, I would probably, again, in 200 words, um, right now even we have 5 major points.
Fair enough. I'm trying to get as much out of the three of us as I can.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it's a hard sell sometimes to when you have a robust topic to be like, oh yeah, let me just propose it in 100 or 200 words.
No, but I think that there is information that we can go here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Would we want to do reproducibility or replicability? That's one that will definitely back.
Replicability, yes. Replicability, I'm for it.
And once again, we'll come back and cut this as we realize that we've got 500 words in these key points.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And to me, the two of these, I think one of the key aspects here is artifact fragmentation and how directed acyclic graphs can help be containers around pick collections.
We can move containers versus collections to metrics, I guess. To
Yeah,
get
see that.
and yeah, to see them together with metrics.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and crypto provenance I added just now. It's for our sovereignty, probably the most important aspect. We should all, I think, obviously we should mention it.
Should that be in versioning though? Or it's, I
In,
guess if it's cryptographic provenance, then not necessarily.
mm, well, it could be moved to versioning. Yeah. Guys, do you see that we are more or less aligned on the key points?
Well, I hope so, but Marshall,
Yeah.
you're the one who's giving this presentation, so ultimately your alignment is really the only one that matters.
Oh wow. No pressure. No, I think this is great. I think this is a good, concise, but also lets us expand on these topics as much as like for the most part, even if we give a 10-minute talk, these are probably still the points we still want to hit. But luckily we can expand that out to the 50-minute version uh, if given the opportunity.
We can go through the majority of this in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
One slide, rapid fire, just moving on kind of
Yeah.
thing. And ultimately, the 50-minute talk is really only 30 with 20 minutes of Q&A.
Mm.
So it's you get to expand on it more, but not drastically more. Okay. Well, we can go back up to our submission details real quick. Participating organizations, expertise, inspired stakeholders to do one of the four. So this is probably another one of those pieces that we need to fit in here.
Well, for second, we are fitting perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
For third, two. And for four, obviously. About the strategic plan, well, still there are some doubts, but we are fair enough to have to say that we are just a part of the bigger strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way we've kind of played it at this moment is we're a part of the FAIR principles and the FAIR movement as a larger overarching strategy. Okay, so then our goal in these 200 words is to fit all of this into maybe themes, perhaps. Fit all of this into these 3 themes. Yeah, okay, that's, shit, this might already be 100 words. This is going on YouTube. I need to be, okay, it's only 50 words. And so yeah, I think this is relatively solid. Is there anything else that we need to think through?
For this initial point, I think it's more than enough to think even right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're at the proposal stage, so I think, for that, we're more than set.
Okay, cool. Do we want to take the next 20 minutes to actually write the 200 words, or do we want to come back async?
I'm
Sounds
free.
Okay, all right. Well, let's start writing.
Yeah.
Yep, fine by me. How much of this can I take from previous talks? Oh, and we actually forgot.
Oh yeah. Too obvious just to forget it.
Yep, yep, but I know I'm gonna forget it if I don't write it down.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to put this over on the side. I've got split screen windows, so y'all are gonna be looking at all of my other notes. And I'm gonna start a section below, which is just Eric's version. Um, Okay. Honestly, before I go too far into writing, what do y'all think of the two paragraphs that I've highlighted right now that I copy pasted straight from the proof of concept?
Yeah, for me, the second paragraph seems normal. And well, we also can borrow some data from the prospectus.
What would you put in there?
Let me put some data there.
Marshall, what are your thoughts?
Um, definitely like I think the last paragraph is perfect as is to introduce just kind of who we are. Um, how much? I guess the other question is, what number are we at?
With the last paragraph, that's 86.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, the last paragraph is 86 itself.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh boy. Okay.
Do you want to take the part about the linchpin from the beginning?
Sorry?
Do you want to, if we do the persistence problems are not unique to academia?
Well, I think we can use it maybe in the beginning, yes.
Okay.
And also my sentence about the derivation trees, we can use somewhere if you like it.
Which one?
The second sentence from the paragraph I wrote while we were speaking.
Oh, here we go. The growing need and identification and storage of the data with.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it could be solid. Do
yeah.
you mind if I
So,
English a little bit?
yes, yes, just correct. I'm taking the benefits.
Yeah, I
Use
know,
this
right?
to the native speakers.
I know, right? Okay. Looking at what we have up top, we still need something around metrics and fair graph databases.
Well, maybe we would borrow something from the FDO forum submission.
That's not a bad idea. What would you put out of that? Hit graphs, not graph databases. I just had a conversation about Neo4j for like an hour. Okay.
There is a very good paragraph I found in FDO submission. May I insert it?
Of course. Do as you see fit, Navada.
Yeah, so it is.
Sorry.
Sorry. Without this sentence. And for sure without references.
Yes, and I think we take out the FDO section as well. Is that isn't necessarily relevant for this community?
I
Um,
guess. I guess yes.
no, this the Center for Open Science. While they touch on FDOs, that's not this NASA conference. I don't think FDOs have quite made it to NASA yet. I know folks at NASA are aware of them, but it's not. Yeah. I think we're about 4 minutes from the end of this call. I can stay longer if y'all can.
I am okay with this. Marshall?
Yeah, I'm good too.
Cool. It would be amazing to get a draft out. And Andrey, are you thinking of doing something separate for Electra as well?
Something separate for a letra?
Yeah, with respect to IPFS.
Well, I spoke with my, let's say, with my bosses, and about the specific, about the specific task. Well, they are willing to contribute, but again, we should speak with higher authority, which is
Okay.
quite well. In Italy, it's not so fast process.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah, yeah, but
Not in
yeah,
the US either.
yes, but yeah, we have a 1 terabyte of space, and I guess they will be more or less happy to share something.
Right, but are you writing a proposal for the Center for Open Science conference is more what I'm asking.
Yeah, for the Center of Open Science. You mean the proposal for a conference, probably?
Yeah, yeah,
No?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. Okay. What are you going into in that one so that we don't overlap between the two? And have
Well,
you gotten
about
a chance to start on that one?
sorry.
Are you submitting to the Center of Open Science conference either a lightning talk or um, a proposal request?
Well, I think there it would be better to have a lightning talk.
Okay. And this is specific to Electra. Do you have any idea exactly what you're going into for that one?
Well, for lightning talk for Electra, for now, I'm just have no idea. But yeah, I should think about it.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure we're not stepping on your toes with whatever we put on here, as the two will probably be correlated, like at least somewhat similar.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Okay. Okay. All right. To be honest, y'all, I'm kind of hitting writer's block here. Taking this 500 words that we've copy pasted it and cutting it down is quite a bit.
Do you think that we have enough for 200 words to gather everything?
I don't mind cutting it down and just posting and asking you guys to review it and just make sure you're okay with it.
That would be cool. I think within this 500 and the little outline above, we definitely have the right 200. Happy to
Yeah.
review.
Okay. Um, all right. So I'll be done that sometime today, and just put it in Mattermost and just be like, hey, if you guys want to take a look, this is what I got.
Yeah, that's perfect. Can you just
Cool.
put it as a new section on this doc so we don't fragment stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And I guess, is there anything else you would need from us to do that in the first place? You probably could have just written all 200 words without me
Uh,
having to
no,
call.
well, I mean,
Uh,
you guys have obviously been involved longer and know what points to hit. So I'm more than happy learning and at the same time. So yeah, no, I'll make a new section and yeah, we should be good. I don't think I need anything. I mean, I'll see when I submit it, but I don't think so. I think we'll be fine.
we're here if you need us. I know it'll be nighttime for Andrey, but I'm available at the very least.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, for me it's now 8:30.
Oh wow.
Yeah, thanks for staying up. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, if that's the case, happy cutting and looking forward to whatever you end up coming up with.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. And may I ask you to send to me the IPFS CID of this video?
Yes, although I am gonna have to upload this to IPFS. Okay, yeah, I'll make sure to do that. And I make no claims to keep the information available on IPFS because I do not have a setup that I'm happy with from a security standpoint, so I can set it up and send it to you. And then would you mind mirroring it with all, or pinning it with all of the others as well? I have a lot
Yeah, I
of
will
work
do.
actually setting up my home network to the point where I feel comfortable with outside people pulling information.
Yeah. Well, I can even download from YouTube and then pin it if you want.
I can, let me think about how I want to do it, but I will
Yeah.
make sure you get a copy of the video.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because well, and just as a little question, so we now have actually several proposals for the conferences. Um, for how many of them our, let's say, DPID working group consider that we will participate for sure? 2 or 3?
What do you mean?
Well, so FDO forum is ready, it's submitted.
Mhm,
This one is okay, ready and submitted.
mhm.
The lightning talk from Eletra, I will think about this.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are free. And another conference you sent today to Mattermost.
I think the PID Fest conference.
Yes.
I think our primary goal here should be expanding all of this work to more people outside of the three of us, so that if there is a conference in Italy, that's an Andrey conference. If there's a conference in the Northeast, that's a Marshall conference. If there's one in the Southeast, that's an Erik conference. And as we find something that's interesting, we'll try to fill the gaps. If they offer a virtual option and no one can get out there, like this Center for Open Science, we'll take that. And there may be some that we miss. But also, we have to keep in mind that we're not going to get every proposal that we submit. So, better to do more than less.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm sorry that I did not don't provide an idea for lightning talk because I have some immigration issues in Italy. So
That's fine. You do whatever you need to do. You good luck with that, by the way.
thank you.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. As
I
I
will
find
think
more
about this.
conferences, I'll throw them on the Mattermost and we can decide as a team whether or not it makes sense to push IPFS in that particular forum.
Yeah, and well, for the next meeting, I will also add to agenda the alignment of all of the conference we plan to participate as a first point. So yeah, it is better
Yep.
now to have a schedule.
If you don't mind, I might actually make a Google Sheets in the Google Drive, which is just conference schedule and
Yes,
team
yes, it's
link,
perfect.
place, date.
Yeah,
Okay, let me go ahead and do that right now. All right. Cool. Well, sounds good. I look forward to reading the edited version. Yeah, sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah. And Marshall, do you plan to participate on Thursday?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, cool. Well, sounds good. And I'll talk to y'all later if that's the case.
Yeah,
All right. Bye.
Bye.
thank you.